there everybody, and welcome back to the Blossom Crochet channel. My name's Rebecca, and if this is your first time visiting, then do make sure to just quickly press that subscribe button to keep up to date with all of my tutorials, and also click the little bell icon so that you can set your notifications. So in this tutorial, it's a nice short one, but I'm just going to be showing you a technique that I use on pretty much all of my tutorials these days, but a friend pointed out that I don't have a specific tutorial showing you how to do it. So even though I do it in my tutorials, I've never sat and done a specific video for it. So basically it is just a really simple technique that will eliminate the gaps that you get at the start of your rows when doing chains. So you can see in this sample that I've made up here, it's quite obvious where I've done my chains at the beginning of each row. So you can see I've got one here, I've got one here, and it does leave quite a gap. And then on the opposite side, I've got two more, which you can see leave a noticeable gap. And you'll also notice that the ends aren't particularly even because it bows very slightly. So this is the chaining method. But I wanted to show you how to do this method, which means you can see here there are no big gaps at the start of my rows, and my edges are also pretty darn neat. And so you can see these are my start rows here. So you can see there are no big gaps at the start of my rows on either side. It fills in the gaps nicely and just gives a really neat finish to your work. So yeah, I call them little fat stitches. They may well have an official name, I don't know, but I will show you how to do the double/single crochet. So depending whether you're UK or US, I will also show you how to do the UK treble and the UK half treble, because they're actually the same when you do it in this method. And I will also show you the UK double treble as well. So you'll get to know how to do all of those 4 stitches and eliminate the gaps at the start of rows because you won't have the chain. So let's just crack on. Okay, so I've just worked up a tiny little section here so that I can demonstrate the stitches to you. So I'm going to work through all of the basic stitches, so you'll get all of the stitches that you need just in this single tutorial. And we're going to start just with treble crochets. So obviously treble in UK terms and then double in US terms. So just to clarify that. So if you needed to start a row with trebles, which is the most common one for getting these big gaps, so like I showed you in the sample piece here, you've got these 2 really noticeable chain spaces, well, chain gaps that you get left with, and it also makes the sides of your work quite uneven as well. So these are trebles. So what you would do, so I've turned my work, as you can see, and straight into this very first stitch here where you've got your working end coming out from. So you can see this very first stitch here. Going to insert your hook into that stitch, go through the whole of the stitch so that you've got that V on the top of your hook, yarn over and pull up, and you'll have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through both. So that is the first part of your stitch. You can see now that you've got 2 vertical sections to that stitch. You want to go behind that vertical one there. So you've got 2 vertical pieces and you want to go behind that one. Yarn over and pull up again. And again, you've got your 2 loops, yarn over and pull through both. So that is your first stitch. Now it's the height of a treble and you're ready then to move on to your next your next stitch, sorry. But what I would recommend, because when you work back along, you can see because we've technically done 2 stitches, you do get 2 V's here. So I would highly recommend, at least for the first few times you do it, just mark that top stitch that you've just done, so the one that you've just completed, so that you know when you work back down on the next row, you know exactly where your final stitch needs to be. So then you're ready to move on to your next treble in the next stitch as you normally would. And I'm just going to do a couple of stitches so that you can see the difference. Okay, so I've done a few stitches there now, and you can see we don't have that big gap, and the edges will stay nice and straight, especially once you've worked into the top of this stitch where you've got your stitch marker. Your edges will stay perfectly straight. You can kind of see already the difference that that makes, and you can see we have lost that big gap that you might normally get. So that is how you would do it for a treble stitch. That's also how you would do it if you were using a half treble or a half double crochet. You would do it in that exact same way to get that height of stitch. So I will now show you if you were doing, let me just take my stitch marker out. So I'm just going to pull that back. So I will now show you as if you were doing a double crochet. So UK double crochet, US this will be your single crochet. So exactly the same principle. You would turn your work and insert your hook into that very first stitch, again going through the whole of the stitch, yarn over and pull up. You'll have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through both, and you would stop there and mark your stitch, and then again you're ready to work along. Now obviously when it comes to double / single crochet, the gap is never as noticeable as it was with the treble stitches and things, but I just wanted you to show that you can use the exact same technique for the double / single as well. The final one that I will show you is for a double treble. So UK double treble, in the US this is your treble crochet. So if you would normally be doing a chain 4, for example, to get to the height of your double treble, then you would follow this process instead. So again, start with that very first stitch, yarn over and pull up, and yarn over, pull through both. And then again, you've got your 2 vertical sections to the stitch. Go behind the one closest to your working end, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through both, and then you're going to do it one more time. So this is for your really tall stitches. So again, you've got 2 vertical sections behind the one closest to your working end, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through both, and again mark the top of your last stitch that you did, and then you're ready to work into the next stitch along. So I'll do a double treble, or like I say, this is just a treble in the US, and I'll just do a few so that you can see again the difference that it makes. Obviously the double treble stitches are really long, so when you're doing a chain 4 normally it does leave quite a noticeable gap. But you can see there again now you have got your tall stitches, but you haven't got that really noticeable gap, and again your edges will be much straighter as well. And it's exactly the same principle. When you work back down, you'll just work your final stitch into where you've marked with your stitch marker, you'll turn, and then you'll do these nice little chunky stitches again. So you can really see the difference that it makes when you do chains and when you do the nice little fat stitches. So I really hope that that has been useful for you. Do remember to like and to subscribe if you don't already, and I will see you for another tutorial really soon. Bye for now.